Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello, friends. Today, I wanted to talk about the relationship between the war between Ukraine and Russia and the war between Palestine and Israel. Those two wars have similarity. They have, identical faces or looks. The war between Russia and Ukraine is funded, invested, and handled by NATO coalition. Similarly, the war between Palestine and Israel is handled, funded, invested, and operated by NATO coalition. So we learned from the history whenever NATO coalition attacks or invades on a nation, that the nation will be destroyed, that the nation will be deteriorated, that nation will be disintegrated. There will be civil war there. So this is similarity. This is how they look like. The two wars are interrelated, interconnected, they have influence. The two wars have impact on each other. So NATO forces don't want to stop the war in Russia and Ukraine because they will be ashamed. They think if they stop funding or investing or supporting Ukraine within their war, within their war, NATO will be ashamed. NATO will lose its reputation, and Russia will be victorious and successful and triumphant. So they don't want to stop the war between Ukraine and Russia. On the other hand, they will continue to invest that war because the reputation of NATO is dependent or reliant on both wars, the war between Russia and Ukraine and the war between Israel and Palestine. But there is a slight relationship between two wars. The war in Ukraine is limited inside Ukraine. So far, this war is confined inside Ukraine. It can be restrained, but the war, inside Palestine turned to be global war, turned to be regional war. This war are involved by NATO coalition on one side and Iranian coalition on the other side. So this war went beyond Palestine territory into regional territory. So this war deteriorated, and this war is more dangerous than the war in Ukraine because this war are combined by many or are connected or joined by many sides or many parties. This war in Palestine are joined by Syria, by Lebanon, by Yemen, by Iraq, and eventually, and lastly, but not the least, by Iran. And so that's why this war will be more dangerous than the war in Ukraine. So the solution of this war is ceasefire, permanent ceasefire. But, NATO forces or NATO powers are encouraging or driving, Israel to continue the war. Because if Israel stops this war before Israel defeats Hamas or before Israel occupies Gaza, they think they will be ashamed because everybody knows the war in Gaza is funded, invested, operated, inflamed by NATO. So if Israel doesn't win this war, the loss of this war will be returning to NATO, especially to United States, because in Gaza, United States fights. The army, the soldiers the ammunitions, the weapons, the third fighters, the fund, the investment, the finance, the economic, everything is given by United States. So that's why the war in Gaza or in Palestine is dependent on United States. Assalamu alaikum.